Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Verdict's In. I'm your host, Nicole.
I'm Gary.
And today we're talking about The Watchmen, Season 1, Episode 8. Well, there's only going to be one season. And the reason why we are randomly talking about Episode 8, or might feel random, is because we did cover the show Watchmen back in 2019. And we now have a lot of time to podcast. And before we started on new shows, Gary said, hey, why don't we do some of the shows that we never fully finished those seasons of?
Right.
Yeah, so Watchmen is one of them. There are a few more, or at least one more.
There's about one more.
Yeah.
One we said, fuck it, we're never finishing this.
Yeah.
It's Game of Thrones. The last season was just so horrible to us, and we said, we're done after the second episode,
I don't know.
third episode?
We stopped early in the season. We watched the whole thing, but we stopped early in the season. It was just so disappointing.
I mean, we knew it was going to be on some bullshit.
Yeah.
But since the new one is coming out, I said, you know what, Nicole, let's go ahead and finish it.
Yep.
Let's finish it so we can start on a new one, and the new one is...
It's a prequel.
Is it a prequel?
Yeah, it's a prequel. So it's before the Starks. Well, the Starks may be there, but it's going to be older Starks and stuff like that. If the Starks are in there.
It's going to go into the...
I think it's Daenerys' family. I don't even know if I've seen the trailer, honestly. I saw that they were going to do a show.
Yeah, well, it's talking about the dragons.
Right.
So,
House of Dragons, I think is
it
what
House
it's
of
called.
Dragons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do our research, of course, before we start that show.
Yeah.
And then we'll make sure
Definitely.
to rewatch Game of Thrones when we do those last episodes. So today we're talking about Watchmen, Episode 8, and then we are going to talk about Episode 9 shortly after. Actually, when you're listening to this, Episode 9 should be available at the same time.
Yeah, it should be dropping.
All right, so here we go. Gary, this episode was titled A God Walks into Abar, which is Angela's last name. What'd you think of the play on words there?
I love the play on words. I just love this episode.
It was really good.
I mean, this whole show is just amazing.
Yeah, when we were just rewatching, first of all, I didn't know it was that long ago. I'm like, 2019, so this was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
It doesn't even seem that long ago. And then second of all, it's so good. Why didn't they do a second season? Like, why didn't we get something more? Because it left on it leaves something.
It's like a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
I mean, there's room for a second season in case maybe someone else want to pick it up later.
Right.
I mean, it's there.
It's there, and then they got some big shoes to fill. So I understand if they're like, you know what, we can't beat that season, I have nothing else to give, then I'd rather stick with one if you can't come back on that same level.
Right.
All right, so we get to meet Dr. Manhattan. We get his backstory. We see him meet Angela. We see him meet Angela's grandfather. There's a lot of different messing with time here and there. So it's almost like they talk about the chicken versus egg, which comes first. And it's kind of discusses that in this episode as well.
Yeah. And you find out with him, like, time is relative. Like, he's everywhere at one time, doing everything and anything. Mm-hmm. So as you're giving him this information, he's receiving information from, is it the same time period of that? I don't know how it works, but he's just receiving all this information at one time. You're telling me this 6 months from now, or you're going to tell me this in 20 minutes.
Right.
We're going to make it 10 years, and then it's going to end in tragedy. So, I just love the way they put this together.
Yeah. Although it kind of makes me not like Dr. Manhattan. Like, and I think
Why?
The grandfather talked about this, or we did just rewatch the movie, the 2009 movie as well. And I don't know if they touched it on the movie, but I believe the grandfather mentioned it in the show. Or if he hasn't, he's going to mention it. And that Dr. Manhattan could have did a lot more. And his excuses saying time is different for me and all this, it's like bullshit, because all of that's happening right now, he could have stopped it. He could have never came into Angela's life, because technically Angela is the one that kind of started all this, but she wouldn't have started all this if Dr. Manhattan never came into her life. And him knowing what was going to happen was selfish of him to even still come and introduce himself to her.
Not necessarily. What's about to happen and things that are happening in his world is going to happen anyway. He just got to choose the best outcome. The outcome that he can control, which he could probably control any outcome, but it's like going into Marvel, Doctor Strange. how I can't remember which Avengers it was, where he sat there and he looked at
Infinity
every
War.
single outcome that's going to happen.
Right.
And he was like, there's only one outcome that would make this right here go away. And I think Dr. Manhattan probably could do the same thing. He's probably seen it from every single direction. Okay, if I stop it here, he's not going to tell you what's going to happen if he stop it here.
And you're going to tell me to leave. And 6 months from now, blah, blah, blah. You had no problem telling her all this because you knew that she would do it and she'd be okay doing it. Like, as she's doing it, even though she knows that she's going to do it because he already told her, she's okay with doing it. Like, she's okay with telling him to leave. Like, even though she knew she was going to tell him to leave.
I mean, she wasn't okay with it.
But she was definitely not okay when she realized, oh shit, I'm the one that told my grandpa about Chief Crawford, and all these events are now coming to play because I started it. She would never have wanted that.
But like I said, it had to happen.
It didn't.
It did have to happen because how would they know that the 7th Cavalry was there? The Cyclops was there at that moment, or the 7th Cavalry was the Cyclops, which is the Ku Klux Klan, which, I mean, different names, different,
Right.
But how else would her grandfather have known that they were there and they had to be stopped? Because they had an elaborate plan in place regardless.
They wouldn't have. They would have destroyed that city. They would have probably did some shit in Tulsa, but they wouldn't have even thought to become Dr. Manhattan because all of those things would have took place if he kept
No,
existing somewhere
remember,
else.
they've been working on this for years. It didn't just start right then and there.
They didn't start working on the Dr. Manhattan thing until they realized he was Dr. Manhattan. That Cal was Dr. Manhattan.
No, they've been working on that technology for years in order. It's like whenever Dr. Manhattan came back or whether they were able to go get him or whatever, they were going to do this. Yeah, if you look at it, they've been working on this for a long time.
Okay.
Like Adrian, like the thing with the memory block. Remember, he had that 20 years. A 20 years
back, since we were all over the place, the episode was going here and jumping in there. Let's discuss each segment of it. And first, I want to talk about the lovely husband and wife who live in a manor in England, and they take people in, and that's how John meets them, and ultimately that's how he creates these clones, or the Adam and Eves of Europa, and then I guess Adrian somehow figures out how to just keep cloning these people.
Right.
Now, what do you think about the real people? We never actually got their names, right?
Right.
What did you think about them and just their mission and their effect they had on Adrian? Or excuse me, on John.
I love the effect they had on John. When you're speaking to somebody and you're talking positive or speaking positive to them, you never know what they're going to take and what they're going to leave. And you never know the impact of what they're talking about is going to do on that person. Mm-hmm. Obviously, John took it and ran with it. When he was able to make something beautiful. In fact, I'm going to go back because what he thought he was doing before was making something beautiful. When he made the machine that he made and everything. But once he became Dr. Manhattan, he was able to make the world as he wanted to see it. There's no war, there's no drama, everything is beautiful. There's no smog or what do we call it? Pollution in the air.
Right.
I mean, everything is perfect. Everything is perfect from the water. There's no pollution in the water he created, the lakes, the ocean. I mean, everything's just pure. So that little bit of information they gave him, and I'm pretty sure that it had an impact on him the entire time, because there was other times, and I'm going back into the movie, where he could have stopped a lot of things or saved a lot of things, but they felt like he really didn't care about the human race, mm-hmm. because he wasn't stopping this stuff, or he was letting murder happen. But I think he was just over it all. These bastards gonna do what they're gonna do regardless.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He probably looked in the Doctor Strange world and was like, he looked at all the configurations, like, man, no matter what, they're gonna tear each other apart.
Humans are gonna human.
Humans are gonna human. What I kind of liked from their impact that they had on John, and then seeing him build this perfect world, it kind of made me think that sometimes, because I always say, like, oh my gosh, I wish we could have just peace. Like, why do we have to have all of this violence and negativity? Like, can't we not have it? It'd be so much better. But then John is showing you a world where there's none of that. No drama, no violence. The people don't even defend themselves when Adrian keeps killing them. When they know he's going to kill him, they put him on trial, but they didn't even attack him when they could have. But my thing is, John left that world because maybe, and I'm not saying this is what they're suggesting, but I think it's just showing you a different thing, that sometimes someone can have everything they always wanted and it still may not make them happy. Like the things that you always thought you wanted. He had this peaceful, this world. He had people waiting on him that wanted just to please him and admire him. And that got boring and old and tired.
I don't really think it got old, boring, and tired for him. I think that there was something he had to do on Earth. So he had to come back. I mean, he could have stayed there in fact, he's still there. According to time, he's all these places. But I think that he saw what was going to happen next with the Cyclops and everything, and he had to be there to stop it.
Yeah. I was going to say some things, but since we we have seen the other episode, the season finale, I don't really want to speak on it because, well, one, it's been so long, so we have to still watch it. And then two...
Really, I don't even remember.
Some things I think that happened, if I recall, may change at that point. What did you think about the moment John told her, like, this is the moment I fell in love with you? Even though now at this point they've been together 10 years and it goes back to how the time works and all that.
It made sense. I thought it was a beautiful moment.
Right, I did too.
Because it's always something someone does. Like, it's a love language that everybody speaks. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you don't know that's your love language. And by her trying to be a protector, saying, hold up, you just sit here, I'll go take care of this.
Yeah.
I'll save us.
And probably because he's always the one that's saving the day,
Right.
And it's hard because I don't want to come off like I'm blaming Angela, but I am just thinking when she went to go, quote unquote, save him, isn't that also sort of a ripple effect to how he ended up getting caught? Like, but it's not her fault. He could have really just said, Angela, don't do it. Like, this is how you're going to get caught. Because he goes out there to save her and then essentially just stands there and lets himself get killed.
Well, he could have stopped the whole thing. So I don't blame her for anything. Because even when he goes out there to save her, he could have blew up the machine behind him. Mm-hmm. He could have did anything. But when she said it's over, we win, he says, no, we didn't. And that's when the machine came on. So he knew that was about to happen, but it had to happen.
Yeah, I guess I don't believe that it had to happen. Like... And I mean, Dr. Manhattan knows, of course, more than me, but it's just like you came into her life knowing that all this tragedy was going to happen and this sadness, and now like raising these kids on her own, like just all the things that's going to happen in the future for her. Now, I just think he should have never came into her life.
I think he made her life a lot better. He took the loneliness out of her life. Like he said, she says she don't want a family because her past, but everything she does, her actions prove otherwise. She's back with her grandfather. The children get to know their grandfather, the adopted kids. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think everything came together perfectly. We don't know what's going to happen. Like, I can't even remember the last episode, to be honest with you. It's been so long. It's 2019.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what happened, but I can say that without him coming into her life, she would have never been reintroduced to her grandfather. He thought that his family didn't want anything to do with him, so he stayed where he was at, doing what he was doing. She would have never had these kids in her life if that would have never happened.
More than likely, yeah.
More than likely. So, I mean, he basically pieced her life back together. He gave her 10 of the best years of her life, and I'm pretty sure there's more years to come. Probably not being with him because we don't know what's going to happen with that situation. But, I mean, at least she's, back with blood relatives. She could get with her grandfather and learn that what Tulsa was like when Tulsa was thriving, when it was good. What was his childhood like? Right. What was his parents like? I mean, it's so damn good knowing where you came from, your history. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
So to me, he gave her the gift that keeps on giving.
No, you're right. I mean, it is still, some people, it goes to that question, better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. And most people say I would choose love and lost than to never have had it. So
right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I'm just like kind of mad at Dr. Manhattan because I'm like, you could change things. Stop saying you can't. You could change things.
But who knows the ripple effects other than him, other things he changed.
Well, then say something. Like, I could change it, but this...
Apparently he's not telling her for a reason. Because maybe if he tell her, I mean, she won't do it. She won't have the nerve, the energy to do it, the nerve to do it. Or she wouldn't have allowed this 10-year relationship if she knew how it was going to end or what she had to do after it ended. There's some things like, okay, like when he told her, this part is very important, what I'm about to do. You have to see me do this.
Yeah, you have to see me do this, yeah.
So, I mean, basically, the reason he didn't tell her what's going to happen is because, you don't want anybody. Picture the stress you will have if you know that this is about to happen at a certain time. Mm-hmm. Like the world's going to end at this time. I mean, you can't even concentrate on the good stuff right now. Or every time you concentrate on the good stuff, you feel guilty because you know the bad stuff is about to happen.
Right.
So I don't blame him for not telling her anything.
Okay. Yeah, and now I'm like I need to stop because as you're talking, I'm also trying to like at the same time remember what happened in the season finale, but I'm like, stop, just forget about that. That's next episode. We'll discuss it. We'll watch it, talk about it. But I have a feeling that I remember loving it. So, all right. So John goes to see Adrian, and it's been 24 years for Adrian. But Adrian's like for him to be such a bad guy, he kills the clones. But he's so chill. Like, he looked at John and was like, oh. And then he said culture appropriation. But he seemed pretty chill to see John. Like, not really like, oh my gosh, or,
I feel bad for Adrian. And I don't consider him a bad guy because obviously the clones that he was killing weren't real people. I mean, they really weren't real people. They was, what he said, was made from the microbes of the water or whatever.
Yeah, I get that would definitely be an argument had for, AI and robots and all that stuff. I don't know. Because, they're bleeding. Like, there's blood coming out of them. How could you just kind of ignore that and be like, that's not a real person?
Yeah.
Like, that's not a real living thing. It has blood coming out of it.
I mean, true. But I still feel bad for him. I feel bad for him because... although he had to kill 3 million and save 3 billion, whatever he said, he's been there where he was at for 20-something years, 24 years, dropping those squids. Like, he was, like, dedicated to world peace. Mm-hmm. Picture being somewhere alone and, you have to... this is almost like a Lost situation where you're on this island and, you got to type in and hit this code every hour. Every
108 minutes.
Every 108 minutes. But damn, they're building another weapon. Why? I just try to convince them not to build any weapons, and they still building them.
Right. And
Dr. Manhattan said maybe it's for safety. They feel safe.
It makes them feel safe.
It makes them feel safe. But not only do he spend all that time alone, they're still dropping the squids, still trying to keep the world peace. Now he goes up to Europa. And now he's up there basically by himself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the people can talk and they can, walk, see. They have a mind. But their sole purpose is to serve him. So I don't know if they would have, or they could challenge him with conversation. Right. Or have difference of opinion. Because whatever he does or says is going to be right. And everybody knows how boring that is.
Right.
I know people been in relationships and said, "Dog, they do whatever I ask them to do."
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you make up your own mind? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?
Well, I think of celebrities, and you hear about celebrities how like some of them are so sad and not happy in their life, and everyone goes, "Well, how they have this? Everyone loves them." All that, it can get annoying. Like, probably the beginning would be fun and exciting, but then it'd be like, okay, I'm tired of you guys saying I look pretty no matter what. Like, no, I look like shit today.
I'm tired of everything I say and being right. I know this. I said
y'all
this,
say yes
I said this
to
on
everything
purpose.
I just said.
I said this wrong shit on purpose, and y'all still said good idea.
Still agreed with me. So, yeah. I don't know why he didn't ask Dr. Manhattan to send, like, 50 additional people with him. Like, it could be a nice, small community.
But he can make as many people as he wants.
But we already know that those people that he's making aren't gonna be able to really hold in-depth conversations like how he wants to be able to.
But you know what the risk of bringing other people in there is? is having the same thing that's going on here
in the real world. Yeah,
where he came from. That's
that's
risk.
what I mean. Keeping it small, maybe 50 people. 50 people is not that a lot for a community.
But it's not a lot, but people reproduce, make more people, and pretty sooner or later, you run into the same situation. Like, why are we running this like this? This is so boring. Why don't I start building over here? Why don't we take this? Well, why do everybody love him? Why can't they love me? Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to have jealousy, envy, and everything that comes along with people being there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to have some good times. But, I mean, there's a lot of bad times that come, especially when, let's say, the 50 people you bring are starting to get divided. Mm-hmm. Like, this 25 want to do this, 25 want to do that, and now it's war on Europa where he wanted peace.
Right. So ultimately, Adrian's wish of what he wanted, world peace and everything, isn't quite exactly what he thought it was.
Yeah, because his purpose is gone. Mm-hmm. But moving on, I always wonder how the 7th Cavalry knew he was there. And when I seen John go back and tell Adrian when he came there, not John. Well, it was John, but he was
Dr. Manhattan. Oh, he was in Calcian.
He was Kyle at the time. I'm sorry. I can't think of, say John. I can't think Kyle for nothing. But yeah, he was in Kyle. So when Dr. Manhattan went to go see Adrian, he laid it all out for him. Like, Adrian found out that he was still on Earth. Mm-hmm. Well, he was back on Earth. And he knew he was on Europa because he said, a little elephant told me.
Yes.
Which is?
I don't know. The elephant that was in the thing, that's what I would thought. Like,
I think it's true. It's Lady True. Because that's her symbol. Her symbol is the elephant.
A little elephant. Okay.
A little elephant.
Or Lady True's daughter/mother. When he said elephant, though, I did think of the elephant that Angela was hooked up to.
Well, yeah, I thought of her because I thought of her logo, just period. So when he said that, I knew that he knew her. And I'm like, okay, the reason they know that he's back and they know who he is and they know he's with Angela is because he just went to Adrian and just laid it out for him. And Adrian probably took it back to True.
Yeah, and told Lady True. And then did the grandpa find Lady True then?
But that's not the case. Mm-hmm. Because right after that meeting, Dr. Manhattan is like zooped him right away. So he didn't have time to go tell anybody.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm still wondering how the 7th Cavalry known.
The 7th Cavalry knows because remember the night they attacked him. They attacked Angela and he blasted them.
Yeah, but if he blasted them, he got rid of... Did he blast them somewhere?
He teleported one of them somewhere.
Oh, he teleported them. Mm-hmm. Okay, I thought when he blasted people, they were just gone. They're dead. I didn't know he teleported.
I can't now because so Gary's been watching the whole series.
Well,
I've been in and out.
I know how Lady Truitt knows. I know how she knows because he went to go tell her grandfather. Remember, he said before you put this in your head, you need to take care of any. Is there any affairs or anything you got to take care of?
Right.
And he's like, I got to talk to Angela's grandfather. So speaking of him, that lets me know how Lady True knows. But how does the 7th Cavalry knows? And, I mean, if he teleported them, zapped them, like you said, it makes sense. Because he's like, hold up, I was teleported. I know what I'm talking about.
Well, now I feel like I have to take that part out. Because you've been watching the whole series. And if it hasn't shown that, maybe it shows that in the season finale. Because it shows that scene.
It shows him on this episode. It showed him.
It showed a quick zap. It showed a little fight, but it actually showed. I think I'm getting a little ahead. All right, so I don't want to get ahead of anything else other than that. So we'll just keep going on. So we'll see how the 7th Cavalry knows. But I think at this point, since we did at least see the zap in this episode, that's how they found out that, hey, this guy, Cal didn't just zap us. That had to be Dr. Manhattan. But I think we'll learn a little more in the next episode. Yeah, we'll learn more
because I got to see if he's teleporting these people or after he do the little hand wave and zap them, are they gone like they were in Vietnam?
Right. Yeah, because when he went outside to save Angela, he just did it with his hand, which was really, really cool.
Right. I mean, that's what he did to the guy who was about to kill Angela. Mm-hmm. He just zapped him.
Yeah.
So, I guess I got to see more to know if this is a teleport because, like I said, is or happened. I don't know. But one thing we didn't discuss is why Angela hates Dr. Manhattan so much.
Yeah, I got her reasons.
Yeah, I get her reasons also. I mean, if you relate that right there to your parents dying, and really it is the reason, because these things, we don't know the ripple effect these things have. Actually, we do know, because we've known, and I can't remember the name of the documentary, how they were like the making of a terrorist or something like that, making of a suicide bomber or something. I can't remember what the name of it was, but when the United States went and invaded and killed the kids and the Muslim kids and this that, and you have the survivors and the children that grow up like they're thinking like, man, these people killed my parents, they killed my best friend, they killed somebody in my family. There's been no repercussion, nothing happened to it. I'm going to take matters in my own hand because they have to be stopped. They got to know that this is not okay what they did.
Right.
What Dr. Manhattan did when he went there, and he probably wiped out a lot of families, wiped out this. In fact, the guy who was doing the puppet show, he had a scar on his eye, so it looks like when his parents were wiped out, he had to be somewhere near. So he actually seen this. He actually lost an eye over it. So he probably grew up angry all his life. So when the VVN day comes, where everybody's celebrating Dr. Manhattan and putting on masks and they doing this, it probably have him steaming inside every year. Like
y'all celebrating this?
Y'all celebrating this? This dude, killed our family. He killed these people. He killed that. Yeah, I mean, we know that. I mean, that's the consequence of the war. You can't tell people how to war.
Right.
Well, they do. But, I can see the ripple effect happening. He's seeing his parents, and now he's like, I'm going to bum on this day that y'all celebrating. And plus, not only that, we have turned Vietnam into the 51st state. In the show, once we invaded them, took over, now we put our military there, and that becomes a state of the United States. So, I can see it being angry. Yeah, I want these people out of my country. I know how it was when I was growing up, and it was good. We have, what I'm assuming, because, we didn't see before the war. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people in childhood, they're like, oh, I had the best childhood ever. I have so much fun with my friends, this, that, because they don't see the trials and tribulations their parents going through.
Right. What I will say, though, about that scene, it made me think of how when she asked him that, he's like, I regret it. And Angela goes, well, then why, if you regret it, why'd you do it anyways? And he said, well, haven't you done something that you're going to regret and still do it? And my answer to that is yes, asshole, but I'm a human, you're not. It's just like, I don't like Dr. Manhattan. I don't like him. Like, he coming up here thinking he's saying little smart, little quick things. Yeah, wouldn't you have done? Negro, you ain't.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with him. Your hate for him is stronger than Angela's.
It is strong. It is strong. But, I mean, I don't hate him. I just think he could have did much better. That's all. Like, to have that much power and not use it.
I think he's using it, and he's probably using it appropriately. I mean, we just don't know the outcome of, or we don't know, what would happen if he did stop this or stop that. I mean, the outcome could be a lot worse.
True.
I just know whoever was in the writer's room, I mean, they deserve all their flowers right now.
Yeah, they do.
Because they did a great job with this show.
Yep.
They did a great job with this episode alone. Mm-hmm. This episode could have just been a movie.
Right. It might be my favorite episode. I don't know. I have to see next episode, so.
No, I've seen a lot of good ones in there. Watching the season over. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a good series.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is all we got, you guys. We will be back with the next episode right now, because if you're listening to this, that means episode 9 is also out. So thanks for listening. If you like these episodes, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We'll be doing a lot more podding this summer, and we appreciate listening. I'm Nicole.
I'm Gary.
Bye.